What is going on, guys? DBG here. Today we have got to talk about something, and it is a misfire. A misfire of what I believe epic proportions, because it now sets a precedent which now makes this entire concept worthless. It has set a precedent that has made an entire concept worthless. So basically, and this, I hate making this video on a day where we got Joel Embiid moments, because that's great. You know what? Great. But again, we're happy about this. We've got to also call this out. So lads, I mean, they did say it in a tweet. They did tweet out that this was going to happen, so it's not like I'm surprised. But everyone's like, oh no, they just misworded the tweet. There's no way they're going to do this. So lads, you can no longer use Jack Harlow or JCole online. There is a dynamic duo that you cannot even use anymore. Oh yeah, you can use this offline, but who the hell cares? It's the principle of it. These cards weren't even good, and that's where the biggest issue is. They are offline only cards. They're not even good, and they had been usable online at some stage. So remember the celebrity cards in NBA 2K22. The big issue that everybody had with those cards, because the cards sucked, was that they were offline only. Everyone always talked about, oh, it'd be so cool getting to cook someone with Ronnie 2K. Like, those cards being offline only is awful. It was awful. We hated it last year because nobody cared. It means that the cards have like one day of hype and then nobody cares. Nobody cares. So now, as you can see right here, rewards. It's called the crossover series, which means it's a series. It's not going to be one thing. So this entire crossover series is absolutely worthless because you can't actually use these cards online. And you're saying, oh yeah, you can use them offline. Sure. But it's... And you might be saying, oh, that's better than nothing. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is that they put in all the time and effort to get these cards into the game. Just to make them worthless. Just to make them absolutely, literally unusable. And then what was worse, I actually think it's worse. I actually think it's worse that they did the right thing by letting us use them online. And I'm sorry, I don't think anyone really had that much negative to say about these cards being online. I really don't think so, because first of all, the cards weren't very good. Let's call a spade a spade. The cards weren't very good. Like, they weren't anything spectacular. They're not like awful either. For new players, you know what? Jack Harlow's a pretty good 2-guard. But now, you can't even use the guy. You can't even use the guy. Offline only cards do not belong in a game mode. Unless, if 2K were to make these offline only, first of all, the only thing that would justify offline only is if they were 95 overall cards and that there was never an online proportion, or a portion of them. And there was never a stage they were usable online. Like, we were all so happy with the celebrity cards being like, oh my god, we can actually use them online. People were giving 2K the benefit of the doubt when they tweeted out that, like, that they're the offline only cards. That what you call it? That the offline, or that they'd be usable multiplayer modes for the weekend, and people were like, oh no, that just means they'll be usable in limited, which they were. People were given the benefit of the doubt, and I've learned you just don't. You just don't. Like, you take everything for face value. And this is what, like, the one thing I will learn is that, like, I was the person saying, like, no, I think they are going to be offline only because that's the way it reads. And it's not, benefit of the doubt is the wrong word, actually. That's a wrong phrase to say. But don't, and this is a whole case of, everyone's like, oh, people are misreading the words. And I agree, we are misreading, we didn't even misread it. Because I was the person who was saying these cards aren't going to be available online after today. We need to read literally what is said. 2K literally told us this was going to happen, and people didn't expect it to happen. And I think that if people believed it, there would have been more uproar on Thursday when the day they came out. There would have been more uproar. It is one of the worst things that they could have possibly done in this scenario. Like, don't let us use them for a weekend. Like, oh my god, JCole, Dennis Smith Jr. Fun, like, mad enough. This is a 2000 MT 2 diamond dynamic duo. How many budget players do you think were running this duo? A lot. A lot. It was a really, really good duo in game. A lot of people were running with this duo. A lot of budget players. Now they can't because one of the cards is just no longer online available. And it's one thing to make these cards offline only from the get-go. But it's another thing to do the right thing initially. And then undo the right thing. Like last year they were offline only. Nobody liked the card. Nobody liked the concept after the first like hour. It was a concept that people just said, screw it, we don't care about it. And that's what they've done with the crossover series. Doesn't matter who they bring out. They can bring out Drake. If they're only usable for 3 days, people aren't going to give a damn. People aren't going to give a damn. Oh, you have 10 celebrities. Oh yeah, you just can't use it. You can only use 2 at a time. Like, the crossover series, if they're bringing in non-2K related or NBA related players, sure. If you want to argue that the game should only be NBA players, I understand that argument. But if you're gonna put these cards in the game, at least let them be used. Like, you can make the argument they shouldn't be here entirely, and I understand that argument. I'm not gonna argue that. If they're in the game, let them be used. If they're in the game, let them be used online. Because the biggest issue we had, everyone was like, when we were talking about celebrity cards, being like, oh, this would have been so cool if they made them usable online. Oh, offline only is terrible. We all knew it was a problem last year. And people didn't really like it. Everyone was indifferent. I don't know a single person that would have been happier with the cards being like they were last year if they were usable online. I don't know a single person that benefited, that offline only cards benefits. But then this year, they do the right thing by letting them be used online. And then 3 days later, not anymore. So if you are trying to get these cards, by the way, so if you're trying to get Jack Harlow, or JCole, and you, I don't know, just didn't log in for 4 days, or you're away for a few days, you're never going to get the opportunity to use those guys online. And it's a precedent that they've now set for the rest of the crossover series. Like, it's a thing they're not going to undo. Just like the K Cunningham situation, where I explained in depth how bad that ended up being. It's not a situation that they're going to undo. It's a precedent that they've set, and they're going to stick with it. Which is a pity, because I've listened to loads of people saying that, you know what, the crossover series is really good for bringing players into the game. It's really good for getting people playing MyTEAM. But I'm sorry. They've already... We are like a week into the crossover concept, and it's ruined. And it's ruined. Because, let's be real, they've got too much pride to undo this. Like, they're not just going to... Like, no matter how much we complain, the devs aren't going to cave and undo this. Maybe they have their reasons. And if there are reasons, database reasons, please be database reasons, for why this is being done, and it turns out that it was the right idea. I don't know the behind the scenes numbers, so I could be wrong. I'm just giving my personal opinion on this, and I'm just an angry Irish guy. I'm not a voice of reason right here. But for me, the entire concept of crossover series is ruined. It's ruined. It's ruined because we know there's going to be a lot more of these. So, like, imagine on Thursday we see, I don't know, Drake and somebody else if they're scanned in. Who cares? Who cares? Because we know that, oh, we can only use them for a few days and then never again. Never again, no matter what. There's no situation where we can use them. But it's disappointing. It is disappointing. I feel like it is possibly one of the most baffling decisions that I've ever seen. Where we've seen, from the outside looking in, obviously I could be talking absolute nonsense. I don't have the numbers. I'm just trying to make sense of this. From the outside looking in, I don't speak for the community. I'm trying to look at this from the community as a whole. But obviously I'm one person and it's physically impossible for me to do that. But from the outside looking in, taking everything into account, it seemed like they did a good thing on Thursday and then undid it. It's like they Control Z'd. They use Control Z on... It would be like, imagine you type an entire... I don't know, a situation where you do something really good and you accidentally hit Control Z and it's all just completely undone. You fixed something and then Control Z and it broke again. That's basically what they've done here. They've Control Z'd one of the more positive things I've seen in MyTEAM. Like, this is really, really bad. This is really bad. I don't understand it. And what makes it even more baffling is the fact that they seem to have done the right thing and undid it. If these cards were offline only, I wouldn't have even made a rant video. I would have just complained on Twitter. I would have just said on Twitter, oh, I can't believe they've done it again. They've made the same mistake making these offline only. But while you could argue, oh, but they let you use them for 3 days, it's better than last year. It is better than last year. It is. But like, what do you think in a situation is better? If something is a 0 out of 10, and right now it's a 1 out of 10, because you use it for 3 days out of an entire year, it's 1% of the year. Let's just say it goes to a 1 out of 10. Would you rather something be out of 1 out of 10? Or would you rather something stay at a 0 out of 10, or be an 8 out of 10, and then drop to a 1 out of 10 straight away? And then drop to a 0 out of 10 straight away. Be an 8 out of 10 for 4 days and drop back to a 0 out of 10 straight away. I think that, I'm not going to say it's a worse concept than last year, because it's not. It is objectively better because we've had 3 days of using the card. It is objectively better. It's just more disappointing. And maybe I'm wrong. But it's hard to see this as anything other than being tone deaf. Like, I hope that I'm wrong, and I could well be. And if I am wrong, and there are legitimate reasons for this that I can't think of right now, there are legitimate database reasons, and it turns out that this is the right idea to do long term, I'll hold my hand up and apologize. But again, I'm not a dev. I don't know what's going on. I can only have my opinion based on my experiences and what I have like read and experienced from players of every sort in this game. And I don't know any type of player that this benefits, because the only type of player that letting these will be offline only that benefits are the people that are like, we just want NBA players. But those guys are going to be pissed off anyway that they're in the game, so they're not going to be happy. And then all the people that are happy using JCole and Tyler Hero aren't going to be happy now because they can't use them online. And it's like, for the people that are already pissed, it's not going to make them more pissed. It might make them 1% happier, with the side effect of the people that are happy about it becoming annoyed, and the people that were indifferent about these cards either staying indifferent or being a little more annoyed. I just don't get it. I just really don't get it.